Good morning, race fans, and welcome back to the season finale of the Metro Ford Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. Tonight, for the final championship round, we're at the new, the improved, the virtual Phoenix Raceway to decide which of our top four drivers will bring home the championship here today. As always, on behalf of OldBastardsRacing.com as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name is James East, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to send the drivers out for that single car qualifying. But first, a look at your top four competitors that are in it to win it here in the final four. You've got Steve Thompson driving the number 67 Toyota with Last Ditch Racing, his primary sponsor of Ride TV. You've got Josh Robinson, the number 23 Toyota with Team Miata, sponsored by Micro Center. You've got Tom Ogle in the number 11 Toyotas, also a Team Miata driver, sponsored by White Claw. And then finally, we've got the fast Canadian Dwayne Macarthur in the number 97 Chevrolet. He's racing as well with Last Ditch Racing, sponsored by REG Customs. This is your top four to keep an eye on here today, as they are going to be battling hard around the hot and slippery track here at Phoenix. Let's get ready to send them out for single car qualifying to decide who will bring home the championship here today. Gonna be a good one. As always, thank you to our fans from across the world tuning in, supporting your favorite drivers, your favorite broadcaster. It has been an absolute fantastic season here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, as well as hanging out with all the drivers of the Old Bastards Racing League. A lot of fun, a lot of very talented drivers, and just a lot of goofy, dysfunctional guys that I couldn't think of a better way to spend a Sunday morning with. As we check out Steve Thompson, one of our top four drivers, he's making his way around for his opening laps here at Phoenix. Dode Hoskins, Michael Everhart, Walker putting down their first fast laps of the day. Now for our viewers at home, we do have a poll up in YouTube. Let us know, who do you think is going to win the Metro Ford Cup Championship here today? Guys, we've got about 24, 25 entries total. But it's all going to be eyes on the top four drivers to see what they can do, who will bring home the championship. Now, Thompson's been very comfortable here at Phoenix in the past as he clicks off a 27.18 on his opening lap. Another interesting point of talking about here is that we are running the open dog leg, so they are allowed to drop down on the apron, to try and squeeze those lap times down as you watch Thompson dive down the apron through the dog leg. That is going to be very exciting in the opening laps, as you'll have drivers, some opting to go down on the dog leg and other drivers opting to run the banking here at Phoenix to try and squeeze down some times. Right now, though, it's Thompson sitting on top of the pole in that number 67 machine. His fastest lap, a 27.17. Other drivers going out on track. You've got Mike Schrader in the number 4 starting his hot laps in that number 4 Mustang, sponsored by Busch Light. Let's see if anybody's going to dethrone Thompson in qualifying. Keep an eye out on the two Team Miata drivers that are in this final round of championships. That's going to be Josh Robinson and Tom Ogle. They tend to go out later in qualifying, hoping for a little bit cooler track, maybe seeing what the other drivers are doing before putting down their hot lap. Schrader, his fastest lap time is going to be a 27.51. That's good enough for 7th right now, as we've got a lot of drivers waiting to go out for qualifying. Joe Brown, Chris Sidner, Scales, Ogle, Buscemi, Runyon, Milligan, Garisco, MacArthur, Gear, Robinson, Watts, Hastings, all waiting to go out a little bit later and maybe try and find a little bit more speed than Thompson, who's sitting on top of the pole with a 27.18. As Schrader brings it down pit road, and we're waiting to see who else goes out. It's 10-minute qualifying session for these drivers, as it looks like a large portion of the field is watching and waiting to see what the track is going to do. We've only got 2 triple-digit drivers here today, either newer drivers to the Metro Ford Cup Series or maybe returning after a long hiatus. That's going to be Clint Rice in the 108 and Watts in the 199. As it looks like Milligan and the number 18 machine's getting ready to go out in the all-black number 18, running the privateer painted Mustang here today. And speaking of different brands, we do have the Manufacturers Cup that will be decided today, also sponsored by eMetro4.com. After last week in Martinsville, it was Toyota out front with 1370 points, Chevrolet with 1340, and Ford with 1206. Both this series and the Manufacturers Cup sponsored and brought to you by eMetro4.com. If you're looking for new or used inventory in the country, contact Patrick Milligan. He will get you set up, he will get you financed, and he will take care of everything you need. As we watch Milligan, the number 18 machine, make his way out onto the track for his opening qualifying laps. We are almost 6 minutes into qualifying. A lot of drivers have not put down times yet. It's going to be interesting to see now our triple-digit drivers. They will be ineligible to put down qualifying laps today. They will have to wait to earn or re-earn that double-digit number before they can go out and qualify with the big guys. Now, that being said, it's been very common the last few weeks to see those triple-digit drivers inside the top 10 or the top 5. As Clint Rice in the 108 and Watts in the 199 have both had great seasons so far, showing what it takes to run with the big guys here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, the premier series of the Old Bashers Racing League. These drivers run 4 or 5 times a week together. They run ARCA cars, Xfinity cars, the Truck Series, and then the Cup cars on Sunday mornings. And if they're not racing, they're out here practicing together. So a very large dysfunctional family, but they're all about having fun and getting faster. Now Robert Garisco, MacArthur, and Gear all going out for their timed laps as Milligan clicks off a 27.27. That's going to be good enough for third here in that Metro Ford-backed Mustang. Let's check in on Garisco in the 28. Also in the Ford Mustang, see what he can do. Tom Ogle looks like he's going to make his way out. Now Josh Robinson's going to do the same. 2 teammates waiting until later in qualifying for the optimal track temperature to try and fast lap and dethrone Thompson, who's still out front with that 27.18. Dakota Pischke second in qualifying, right behind Thompson. Garisco puts down a time good enough for 12th here, but keep an eye on Ogle and Robinson. MacArthur puts it on pole with a 27.10, 700ths faster than Thompson, his teammate. 2 Final 4 competitors. As let's check on Tom Ogle in the number 11 machine, another one of the top 4 drivers. Ogle, he also dethrones Thompson, pushing his way up into second. But where is Robinson, the number 23 driver? As Ogle returns to pit lane in violent fashion, Josh Robinson's making his way out in the number 23 machine. So right now, it is the 4 chase drivers running 1, 2, 3, MacArthur, Ogle, and Thompson. Let's see what Robinson's going to be able to do here late into qualifying, as I'm expecting all 4 of our finale drivers to be starting them, the top 4, if not the top 5. As they've been running so close all season long, it'll be very interesting to see how things go at the start. And if cautions are going to come into play here today. It's 187 laps around Phoenix. As here comes Robinson, qualifies second with a 27.11. This is going to be extremely interesting. So you've got MacArthur on pole for now with Last Ditch Racing. Robinson and Ogle with Team Miata qualifying second and third. And then Steve Thompson also with Last Ditch Racing. He's qualified 4th. The question remains, does Robinson improve on a 27.11? He does not with a 27.22. So the top 2 rows will be different teammates here. starting side by side, and all 4 of these drivers are in this final round as we get ready to send them out for the main event. Once again, thank you eMetroFord.com for sponsoring this season. Couldn't do it without those guys. And I am extremely excited to see what's going to happen here today as we get them gridded up for the final time of the eMetro Ford season. Starting on pole, you've got Dwayne Macarthur in the 97. Josh Robinson, 23, starting second. Tom Ogle in the 11, starting third. Steve Thompson in the number 67, starting fourth. Dakota Pischke in the number 1, starting fifth. Patrick Milligan in the 18, starting sixth. Clay Walker in the number 25, starting 7th. Dean Gear in the 92, starting 8th. Brian Lindsay in the 24, starting 9th. Lee Warsdale in the 99, starting 10th. Brian Lynch in the number 15, starting 11th. Mike Schrader in the 4, starting 12th. Dode Hoskins in the 66, starting 13th. Jess Vaught in the 10, starting 14th. Scales starting 15th in the number 8 machine. Todd Bosworth in the 42, starting 16th. Robert Garisco in the 28, starting 17th. John Gallagher in the 105, starting 18th. Michael Everhart in the 17, starting 19th. Clint Rice in the 108, starting 20th. You've got Joe Brown in the 21, starting 21st. Joey Buscemi in the 56, a newly acquired double digit for him. He'll be starting 22nd. Michael Watts in the 199, starting 23rd. John Hastings in the 32, starting 24th. And then we'll check out Chris Sinner in the number 29, 25th on the grid. And then Roger Runyon Sr. in the 71 will round out our grid of 26 drivers here today. The final time of the season, we're going to send them out and decide who the championship will belong to, as all 4 of our championship contenders are on the front rows here. It's going to be a wild one at Phoenix. It's a hot track temp, a whole lot of laps. And that dog leg has the potential to really shake things up here today. The drivers getting their last-ditch notes from race control. I don't believe there was any penalties being assigned to our drivers here today. So it'll be a straight run to get them going out. We're starting to get some votes in on who's going to win the Metro Ford Cup Championship. Currently, the poll is open for our YouTube viewers here today. Thank you to everybody that has viewed all the broadcasts this season, that likes the videos each and every week, subscribe to the channel, and then leaves a comment for our drivers. They go back and watch all these broadcasts, and they absolutely notice who's out here cheering for them week in and week out. Because we try and represent our drivers to the best of their ability, get them as much airtime as possible for their fans, as well as their sponsors from across the world. A quick opening pit lap as the pace car comes in, and we're going to start it here at Phoenix. The Metro Ford Cup Series, once the green flag flies, the championship will be decided today. It's Macarthur and Robinson on the front row. Ogle and Thompson your second row. All 4 competitors are in this final chase here, signified with a yellow banner on the front windshield of these machines. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The final first start of the season. Macarthur taking full advantage of that dog leg. Robinson and Thompson stay on the high line. No shifting of orders yet, but Tom Ogle trying to hold on to it on the inside line, defending against Steve Thompson, number 67 machine. Now, these races frequently come down to tire management, so it'll be very interesting to see who can keep from pushing too hard too early on. As our top 4 drivers still glued together, Ogle and Thompson still side by side. That's allowing Macarthur to get a couple of car lengths between himself and Robinson. And Robinson's got to be happy. Oh, we've got contact already between Ogle and Thompson. So much is on the line for these drivers. Are we going to see Thompson answer the inside line of Ogle and try and return the favor here? Now, these guys run very clean all season long. I don't think you're going to see too aggressive bumping and driving here today. As we're watching Ogle in the white claw back number 11. He's down 1 spot that he's lost to Steve Thompson. Your race leader Dwayne Macarthur clicks off the fastest lap of the race with a 27.26. As we go a little bit further back in the field, all sorts of madness. Brian Lindsay, the number 24 machine, he's working on getting by Mike Schrader. As Schrader and Warsdale are going side by side. Schrader in the baby blue number 4. while Warsdale is in the Miller Lite, white and black number 99 machine. And there's always great racing across the field here on a Sunday morning. A lot of very talented racers, a lot of very clean racers. That's probably the biggest thing you'll notice from this season is how hard these guys run and how clean they keep it. Clay Walker may have had some sort of problems. He's in pit road. John Gallagher, John Hastings showing us did not start here today. Not sure what happened with those three drivers, but having problems early on. Up front, Dwayne Macarthur stretching his leg in the 97 machine. He's about 8/10 ahead of Josh Robinson. Now, talking to some of the drivers and their crew chiefs coming in tonight, the fuel window is expected to be 80 to 85 laps on fuel. But I'd be curious to see if we're going to see a one-stop strategy or a two-stop. I would imagine it's going to be a two-stop race for these guys. More so based on tire wear than it is going to be on fuel management. I'm expecting these guys to come in around lap 60 to 70 is what I'm estimating the fuel window and more importantly the tire window to be here today. As Steve Thompson working with Josh Robinson to try and catch up to Macarthur. Now the top four divided amongst two different teams here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, but everybody wants a shot at that prestigious championship. As it'll be the highest finishing order amongst these top four drivers. Doesn't matter where they're at out on track. You don't necessarily have to win the entire race, but you have to finish in front of the other competitors, the other four drivers in the Chase playoff to bring home that championship. Warsdale trying to get around Lindsay and that 9th place spot in the number 24 machine behind Warsdale, running 11th, 12th, and 13th. You've got Vaught, Hoskins, and Rice. Rice is up 7 spots in that triple-digit 108 Chevrolet here today. So that'll be very interesting to see how his day progresses. As it looks like Rice is going to get around Hoskins, going down the inside line, able to make it stick nice and clean. Oh, right as we say that, a little bit of bumping and grinding between Rice and Hoskins. Not sure if Rice got a little bit loose there, as he will have some freshly green stripes on the back of that 108 machine after a little bit of bumping and grinding with Hoskins in that fluorescent green and yellow number 66 machine. Now, it looks like up front, Robinson is starting to catch up to Macarthur ever so slightly. He's down about 0.6 of a second. Another notable battle is Michael Watts and Joey Buscemi. Buscemi recently upgraded at double-digit number 56 after getting through his probationary period. Watts is up 8 spots so far with his triple-digit 199 Toyota. And now Watts is going to try and catch up to Hoskins in 66. Watts is up 8 spots, the other triple-digit driver. Rice is up 9 spots. So both of our drivers not being able to do qualifying, still able to come out strong and really push hard early on. It'll be very interesting to see how the tire management comes into play. Your race leaders are down about 3/4 of a second. Macarthur's fastest lap time early on was a 27.26 his last time by. Everybody inside the top four was running 28 flats here today. As you're on board the number 199 Toyota of Michael Watts trying to catch up to Hoskins in the AARP back Ford Mustang number 66. We're going to pan over to Dean Gear, the 92. He's being chased by Dakota Pischke's number 1, while simultaneously trying to track down Patrick Milligan's number 18 machine. And Gear's trying to work that number 92 up inside the top 5 for this season finale. Now, although there's only 4 drivers in the championship out on track, these guys work hard throughout the week to come out and race very strong with their friends. As you watch Milligan take the dog leg, a little bit shallow here, opts to stay on the high banking here at Phoenix, or relatively high compared to what it is on the apron. As that apron, especially with how hot the track temp is, can be extremely slippery for these drivers. And we're going to have a yellow flag come out early, as I believe it's going to be Hoskins and Buscemi involved in that one. Buscemi parked on track in the number 56 machine. Hoskins also involved. Let's take a look at the incident replay and see what may have went wrong. Oh, was that Lindsay and Hoskins got together? And Buscemi just lightly tapped Hoskins around. Let's watch this once more. I'm fairly sure that was Lindsay in the 24 machine. No, it was Watts in the 199, just ever so slightly got into contact with Hoskins and sent them both spin around. The entire field will come down pit road. Let's see what that looked like from Watts' point of view. Just ever such slight contact. I wonder if Hoskins was trying to get down onto the apron to use that dog leg, that open dog leg that we're running at Phoenix here today. As Chris Sidnor opts to stay out, number 29 machine. Not sure if that's for track position or maybe a little bit of strategizing to get himself off the same pit cycle as your previous race leaders. So let's see how things shake up after Sidnor takes that late pit stop. Now it appears it's going to be Jess Vaught coming in for a late cycle with that number 10 machine. Another driver we've seen really grow throughout the season, earning his double-digit numbers. But as the pit cycle shakes down, it's going to be Macarthur, Robinson, Thompson, and Ogle still inside the top 4. In this top 4, the only drivers that have really changed position are Ogle and Thompson, have swapped early on. But it looks like most drivers going to value those fresh tires more than anything, hoping for another green flag run. As we pull up the live time and scoring chart on the left side of your screen, you can see where your favorite driver is out on track. Pace car will be making its way in, then we'll send him out once more for our second restart of the night. Let's see what Macarthur and Robinson can do on the front row. Right behind them, Thompson and Ogle. Macarthur, Robinson, Thompson all go down on the dog leg. And this is nice, tight racing for the championship on screen right now. These guys have a long way to go, but now they've got fresh tires, and Thompson's trying to take his spot back. As Ogle and Thompson still side by side in that battle for third. Now Macarthur and Robinson have been running great here today. They were able to extend their gap slightly over the number 11 of Ogle and the 67 of Thompson. Two different teams, four different drivers, all battling hard for the final championship. Patrick Milligan, the number 18 machine, he wants to get his nose in the mix. As all of these guys doing well, it's Macarthur still out front, Robinson second, Ogle third, Thompson fourth, and Milligan rounds out our top five. As we got great racing going on across the track, Mike Schrader, Dean Gear, Lee Wardstone, Clint Rice, all in a fury of cars here. This is from about 7th place back to 13th, as it is a very tight field. Everybody trying to find a way through here. But this has got to be a game of patience for these drivers. Historically, these races run fairly long and fairly green, as I don't think you're going to have those loose tire setups having too many problems here after the early pit stop. Now, historically, if you see guys go 40, 50 laps, the cars will really tighten up. The lap times will drop like a rock. And then when the drivers come back out on track, things can get all sorts of wild, as they're not used to running the looser cars with those fresh sets of tires, and that's when calamity can strike our racers. So with that shorter run we saw on about that lap 16-17 early caution, I'm thinking these guys won't quite have the tire problems we've seen in the past, as here comes Rice trying to pick up another spot from Schrader, looking to the inside line. Dean Gear going to try and follow as well, as Schrader and Rice still side by side. Ooh, looks like Rice had a back up there to avoid getting into the back left quarter panel of that number 4 owned by Mike Schrader. Fantastic racing here at the new and improved Phoenix Raceway. Just got the update from iRacing not even 2 weeks ago. Some love it, some hate it, but most importantly, it matches the real life configuration and aesthetics now, as we're gonna have another caution come out. What a wild night this has been, as Hoskins may be another victim once more, just having a very rough go with it. Let's see what happens to Hoskins at 66. We've got Everhart behind him. And poor Schrader, Hoskins having a rough go here. Just gets tagged twice, and the poor 66 machine gets punted off the track. Let's try and take one more look and see who that was that maybe got into Hoskins. And it's tough to tell with the multi-lines here at Phoenix. I can't tell if Hoskins is dropping down, or if the number 15 machine came up. That was Brian Lynch also involved in that one, so it'll be just Hoskins with some hard damage on the back of number 66, as he does a fantastic job locking up the brakes. As look at this, now we're going to have some different strategy coming out with our race leaders. Macarthur and Robinson opt to stay out. Ogle and Thompson come in to take 4 fresh Goodyears. How will this affect the championship and the run here? It's only been about 12 laps on this set of tires, as it is Macarthur, Robinson, Schrader, Bosworth, and Everhart opting to stay out. Ogle will come back out on track in 6th. Thompson will come back out on track in 7th, as Lee Warsdale interjects himself in the party with a 2-tire strategy. He's only in his box for 9.6 seconds. got BK Adamson tuned in, cheering on Captain Canada 97, Dwayne Macarthur, the world famous fast Canadian. He's running out there well today. But I'm very intrigued to see how this pit cycle may affect things today. But that will be a second caution of the night. I'm not sure if it's Phoenix causing it, the hot track temps, or maybe hot driver tempers that brings out the second early caution, only 30 laps into this 187-lap main event. As it'll still be two championship contenders, Macarthur and Robinson, on the front row, but keep an eye out from about, I believe it's going to be 6th to 7th place will be Tom Ogle and Steve Thompson. The other two contenders that have opted to take another pit stop, throw some fresh tires on there, and see if that can pan out well for these championship contenders if we do get that long green flag run. We'll get them gridded back up 2 wide, about 15 rows deep, as we still have 22 drivers on the lead lap. And we'll get ready to send them back out once more to see where things are going to get shake up. Now, your top 5 drivers have not come in since lap 17. Behind them, looks like the majority of the field coming in on lap 28 to try and throw some fresh tires on there. I'm fairly certain there's no tire limit here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. And most importantly, no fast repairs. So if you find yourself with a wadded up machine out on track, you want to finish it, fix it the old-fashioned way. Duct tape, Flex Seal, and a bunch of angry mechanics with hammers. As let's send them back out once more. We did get confirmation that there is no restriction on tires here today. Green flag flies. Macarthur and Robinson still out front. Macarthur immediately diving down the apron to try and get some speed built up. Now that dog leg seems to be fairly fast, but from what I've heard from other racers, it can chew out tires a little bit more than running to banking here at Phoenix. As your race leader still side by side, Robinson has about a half car length on Macarthur. But Macarthur has that inside line able to defend. Now how will this affect tire wear? Macarthur has been using the dog leg. Robinson stays out on the outside wall, and he seems to make it work, taking over the first place. But here comes Ogle, has already worked his way up into third. Ogle will be on about 11 lap fresher tires, so if we can keep this thing green, Ogle has a good spot to make up some great positioning here. As now Steve Thompson has worked his way back inside the top 4. All top 4 championships are currently out on track and running up front. Robinson still leading our championship drivers, but here comes Ogle with those slightly fresher tires trying to work on Macarthur. But he's going to have his hands busy as well with Steve Thompson, who's trying to work on Ogle. Ogle putting those fresh tires to use here. Diving up the inside line of Macarthur. Will we see Thompson, Macarthur's teammate, do the same? As both Ogle and Thompson are on the same tire strategy. Robinson and Macarthur are on the same tire strategy. As Ogle trying to squeeze that White Claw back Toyota Camry up the inside of Macarthur. Macarthur, the lone Chevrolet inside the top 5, doing whatever he can. Mike Schrader, our current fastest Ford on track. He's running 5th in the number 4 machine. As Ogle and Macarthur battle hard, Ogle takes over 2nd place. That has allowed Robinson to stretch his legs to about 3/4 of a second over 2nd place Tom Ogle. Now let's see if Macarthur yields the spot to his teammate Thompson. Since Thompson does have slightly fresher tires on that lap 28 pit cycle. And yes, now Thompson takes over third, so it's Robinson, Ogle, Thompson, Macarthur, and Schrader. Your top 5 here today. So this is where that tire management may come into play for our drivers. As if we get that green flag run, these guys are going to be really leaning on those tires to last them as long as possible. Now the fuel window is about 80 laps. But is the tire management going to last 80 laps at full race pace before drivers start coming in fear of blowing the tires? As it looks like Macarthur's slowing down slightly. He's about 1 second back from Steve Thompson. Robinson out front, still holding on to it despite the older tires, but he's going to have pressure from his teammate Tom Ogle to follow very, very shortly here. As the top 3 drivers of Robinson, Ogle, and Thompson running nose to tail here. Ogle and Thompson, though, are on that fresher set of tires, but we know Robinson can really save those Goodyears throughout the duration of a run. As I think Macarthur's going to go into tire-saving mode early here, allowing these top 3 drivers to push hard. Maybe save some rubber on that 97 machine so he can battle on later, after these guys may push it a little bit aggressively, battling for that top spot. Less than a tenth separating Ogle from his teammate Robinson. Battling for the lead as they run nose to tail. Macarthur's fallen off about 1.5 seconds from this lead pack. He's got to keep a relative pace going, though, despite trying to save tires, as he does not want to get caught up with Schrader, Milligan, Rice, Everhart, Bosworth, Pischke, a bunch of fast drivers inside the top 10. Take on board Steve Thompson. That's watching the battle of Robinson and Ogle in front of him. 2 teammates running first and second. The championship contenders putting on a show out here today early on, not even remotely close to halfway through the race. And we've seen a lot of great action, 2 early cautions to really shake things up as far as pit strategy. There's only about 4 or 5 drivers that opted to stay out from that lap 17 pit cycle, while the rest of the field came in on lap 28. Macarthur still hanging on comfortably in 4th. He does not have the draft to use, but I believe he's in tire-saving mode early on. Planning for a good green flag run here today. We'll go a little bit further back in the field to the wild battle for the top 10. You've got Joe Brown running 10 in number 21 machine. He's up 11 spots. He's being chased by Dakota Pischke, Brian Lindsay, Robert Garisco, Michael Watts, all in the mix here. Now Lee Warsdale trying to get back up in the mix as well as he gets his way around Dode Hoskins. No, he gets around Dean Keir, excuse me. As you're on board with Lindsay in the number 24 machine. That is Dakota Pischke in the number 1 Toyota Camry right in front, and then Joe Brown, Dakota Pischke. They're going to go side by, excuse me, Joe Brown, Todd Bosworth. They're going to go side by side. Brown currently in 9th. trying to stay ahead of Bosworth to get comfortably up inside the top 10. Brown now up 12 spots throughout the race, but our current hard charger is going to be Clint Rice, who you go on board with. He's following the wily veteran Patrick Milligan, number 18. Rice up 14 spots, working his way into 6th after being unable to qualify in that triple-digit number. So good to see the triple-digit drivers coming out strong, having a great race, and showing they have what it takes to race with the big guys here at the Metro Ford Cup Series every Sunday morning. As we watch still somewhat of a 3-car battle for the lead. Tom Ogle has about a half second over his teammate Josh Robinson. Robinson has Thompson glued to his back bumper. And then Macarthur will be about 1.2 seconds back from these lead 3 drivers. But when are these drivers going to think about tire savings? Now, they did all come in on lap 28 except for Robinson and Macarthur, who I would imagine are already in tire saving mode, as the drivers are about 1 second off their fastest laps of the evening. We're going to cycle the camera back to about 15th place. Brian Lindsay, Lee Warsdell, Todd Bosworth, Michael Watts, all battling hard back here right outside the top 10. And it is at this point in the run you'll see drivers start to make mistakes as the tire wear really becomes a factor. Not able to push it as hard as they were able to originally. And they're all about 1 second off their fastest lap of the race. The tire wear really playing a factor. Now Bosworth in the 42 machine, he has not come in since lap 17. And he is surrounded by a field of drivers that came in on that lap 28 pit cycle with that second caution of the night. As we're watching Warsdell and Lindsay go side by side. Dean Gear also going to get in the mix as well to make it 3 wide here at Phoenix. Lindsay holds on to the number 24 machine. Now Dean Gear and Warsdell are going to go side by side. Hoskins in the 66 machine trying to get a nose in as well against Warsdell and pick up another spot after Hoskins has had a rough start to the evening. On board with Warsdell, he goes side by side with Gear. Gear's going to have him by a fender coming out to start finish line, almost a full car length. And now Hoskins is going to try a way to interject himself into the party. Up front, Robinson and Thompson still glued together, never more than 2 or 3 tenths apart. Macarthur, very consistent lap times, run the same time for the leaders here, but he's about 1.2 seconds back. As it looks like the times are really falling off. They're now over a second slower than their fastest laps of the race. Ogle is about 28 laps on his set of tires. Robinson's about 30 laps on his set of tires. 38 laps, excuse me. So having to really stretch it out a little bit longer as he's got pressure from Thompson, who's also in the lap 28 pit cycle. But all these guys are very smart. All of our championship contenders have won several races throughout the season. So they know what it takes to have a long run car, especially at Phoenix, where these guys have ran a bunch throughout the season. Now, the last time we ran at Phoenix was all the way back March 14th, where it was Josh Robinson who brought home the win after a 187-lap feature event that had 6 cautions during the race. As it was Robinson, Milligan, Kilburn, Thompson, and Kopko that ran out our top 5 last time we were here at Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see what the number 23 machine can do as this run progresses. We've had 2 votes on who's going to win the championship. Macarthur and Ogle currently tied in the YouTube poll. As I almost wonder, is Thompson maybe playing it safe here and trying to pressure Robinson to keep a faster pace and try and cook off the tires of that number 23 machine. These guys are very smart, and they know how to save their tires and maybe up the pace for the drivers who are trying to save, not allowing those guys to save fuel or tires throughout the run. Watch Thompson staying on the back bumper of the number 23 machine. Now it's curious, it seems Thompson has the pace to maybe try and get around Robinson, but not doing so yet, and this is allowing Macarthur, the 97 machine, to start slowly reeling up to his teammate Thompson, as now he's only about 9/10 back, but Macarthur's going to have company from Milligan, the top 5 driver, the number 18 Ford Mustang. He's getting closer and closer to Macarthur's back bumper as well. So that may be the same situation you see out the number 97 machine, maybe getting forced to go a little bit faster than he wants, trying to keep that track vision and stay inside the top 4 with the rest of the championship contenders. Cycle a little bit further back in the field. Michael Watts, the 199 machine, he's up 11 spots, trying to catch up to Robert Garisco in the 28. Our favorite podcaster out there in the Crisco-backed Ford Mustang. Garisco trying to catch up to Dakota Pischke and work his way into the battle for the top 10. Watts is up 11 spots here today, and having a great run out of that 199 Advanced Auto Parts backed Toyota. Now the tire wear really affecting these drivers. Everybody's about 1.2 seconds off their fastest lap of the race. Ogle, your race leader, his last time by was a 28.75 compared to the 27.47 he set as the fast lap of the race for that number 11 machine. As you're on board, Josh Robinson, he's about 1.3 seconds back from teammate and race leader Ogle, as he's got Steve Thompson glued to his back bumper. Macarthur finding a little bit of time, slowly but surely, as now he's about 8/10 off of Thompson and slowly catching up through the duration of this run. He still has Milligan right in tow in that 5th place spot as well. Now, curious to see, Macarthur seems dedicated to running the open dogleg portion of the track. I've got to wonder, is that using up a little bit more tires? Is it worth the savings you get on times here? As Ogle really stretching the legs in that number 11 machine, still about 1.2 seconds ahead of Robinson. Macarthur slowly catching his way up to both Robinson and Thompson, as Milligan follows right in tow. Milligan's been so fast all season long. as it looks like Macarthur using a little bit less of the dog leg here. Now within 7/10 of his teammate Steve Thompson. Now that last time by, your top 5 drivers ran almost identical lap times. All the drivers ended up clicking off about 28.75s from 1st to 5th, so everyone extremely consistent. As you're on board with Macarthur, goes through the dog leg a little bit shallow, not trying to push it too much here. Now we're expecting Macarthur to come down pit road at about 15 laps if they stay true to strategy here today. But he can stretch it all the way out to about the lap 100 mark if able. It's going to be very intriguing to see how that different pit cycle is going to affect drivers. You've got some drivers on a lap 28 pit stop strategy, and some drivers such as Robinson and Macarthur who are on that lap 17 strategy. But again, we know how good these drivers are at tire management. We've seen it throughout the season, races won or lost on strategy alone, and now tonight the championship can be decided on strategy. Let's cycle further, a little bit further back in the field. As Dakota Pischke, the number 1 machine, he's chasing down one of my favorites, Michael Titanium Everhart's number 17 machine. Titanium is up 11 spots, currently 8th on track. Dakota having a rough go early on. He's down 4 spots. As it looks like Jess Vaught may have left the race surface going back to the hauler. Not sure what happened out of the number 10 machine. But behind Pischke, you've got Robert Garisco, Michael Watts, very close in tow. Both Garisco and Watts having a great night as well. Watts up 12 spots, Garisco up 7 spots, and now Pischke goes to the inside line along Everhart, trying to make a pass through the dogleg, but are we going to see Titanium carry just a little bit more speed here? As let's see where things shake out going through the start-finish line and then back into the dogleg here in Phoenix. As they are side by side in this battle for 8th place. It's Everhart, the number 17 machine, Pischke in the number 1. Then you've got Garisco in the 28, Watts in the 199, and just a little bit back, you've got Joe Brown in the 21 machine. All these drivers are on the same pit strategy here today. Everybody taking 4 tires on that lap 28 stop. Just fantastic racing across the board. Up front, it seems like our top 4 competitors, the championship drivers, starting to tighten up the pack a little bit. Now Robinson's only about 7/10 back from Ogle. And Macarthur, he's still getting a little bit closer to Thompson, lap by and by. As the tire management really a factor. Robinson on that lap 17 pit strategy. He's been very good at tire savings, but will he be good enough to maintain pace after being on an 11-lap deficit compared to Ogle out front or Thompson in 3rd? fantastic racing across the board from these guys. As I'm very curious to see, is Robinson starting to catch up to Ogle? It appears he is, now only about a half second off the back bumper of his teammate. As now lap traffic may also be a factor. Ogle can see it coming up in front of him. And that has the opportunity to really shake things up for these drivers. I believe that's going to be Roger Runyon Sr. we see in front of the bright pink number 11 White Claw back Toyota Camry of Tom Ogle. As we're getting a little bit closer to the halfway mark tonight, a little bit closer for the fuel windows to open up for possibly our first green flag stops of the night, barring any sort of shenanigans out on track. As you're watching Ogle in number 11 machine, who's about to have some pressure from his teammate Robinson in the 23 machine. And now Robinson's only about 3/10 off of Ogle. Dean Gear initiates his pit cycle in the number 92 machine, as here comes the race leaders about to catch up to Roger Runyon in the number 71. Runyon having a great night as well. He's up 6 spots, working his way into 20th. It'll be interesting to see where the leaders opt to try and go by from. Not sure what the preferred line is for traffic here today to avoid getting into the leaders, as Ogle goes low, goes high, and goes low again to get around Runyon. Now who's going to be able to navigate traffic the best? Steve Thompson's worked his way up into second, finally getting around Robinson here. As Runyon goes way, way wide in the 71 to allow these top 4 drivers through nice and clean, no problems there. Ogle, Thompson, Robinson all getting through nice and clean. Milligan a little bit further back. But look at that, Macarthur has really gained some time here, now within striking distance of Josh Robinson. But how is tire wear going to affect these drivers? You've got Ogle and Thompson on that lap 28 cycle. Robinson and Macarthur have not come in since lap 17. And we are almost 90 laps into this main event, the season finale. As the top 4 bunching up together once more. Ogle will get some laps led here. Steve Thompson second, Josh Robinson third, Dwayne Macarthur fourth, and Patrick Milligan fifth. As our current hard chargers are both Clint Rice and Michael Watts, both triple-digit drivers that are up 14 spots in this main event. Less than 1.7 seconds separating the top 4. All of our top 4 here also in contention to bring home the season championship. And now it'll be Tom Ogle that has the luxury of cutting through traffic, and he's going to have a bunch of it right ahead of that bright pink number 11. As let's see who that is ahead of Ogle. Not sure if that may be Bosworth or possibly Dean Gear, who's running a new paint scheme here today. And Dean just completed his pit cycle, so that could very well be the number 92. No, that's going to be Clay Walker, the number 25 machine, just ahead of your race leaders. As Walker will get ready to go another lap down here. As Ogle leading the charge has extended his gap to about 3/4 of a second over Steve Thompson. This is where things get exciting for their race leader. They have to avoid their own mistakes, and they also have to avoid anyone else's. So it's a lot of trust here at the Metro Ford Cup Series at OBRL. It looks like Walker's gonna maybe take a peek at pit lane or just getting way down the apron in the dogleg to avoid getting tied up in the race leader, as Ogle is about to get his hands full, having to cut through a whole lot of traffic here. Now it is Bosworth just ahead of the bright pink number 11. Bosworth holding the outside line nice and wide to allow Ogle, Thompson, Robinson, and Macarthur to make his way through. As you're on board with Tom Ogle, you can see the traffic just ahead of your race leader. As there's a 4-car battle going on just in front of your leader, so everybody's got to be very careful here. I believe that's going to be Hoskins, Sidner, Scales, and Lynch ahead of the race leader. As Ogle in a tough spot here, he has to keep the hammer rolling forward, but also can't get tied up in somebody else's mistakes because he knows Thompson's less than a half second behind him here. And when are we going to see the pit window open up for these leaders as well? Are they going to opt to come down pit road a little bit early rather than try and battle with traffic here? Or what will be the strategy? Is Ogle cutting through traffic like an absolute scalpel, Thompson in tow. This is a tough spot to be in. Everybody's driving really tight with how the cars are starting to really burn in the tires. Ogle's last time by a 28.83, his fastest lap of the race, a 27.47. So the pace is really falling off, as well as the tire wear for these guys. As Ogle makes his way around Scales, no problem. Scales in the Mandalorian painted number 8 Chevrolet. Thompson still staying with your race leader. Ogle still hovering around that half-second back mark very late into the fuel and tire run. These guys have put over 70 laps on a set of tires here at Phoenix, so I would expect them to see them coming in at the 110 mark for their final pit stop of the race. As Thompson getting a little bit closer now, 4/10 off the back bumper of the number 11 machine. As barring any cautions, we're expecting their next pit stop to be their last here today. And then bring it home to decide who the champion is gonna be. Right now, your contenders are Ogle, Thompson, Robinson, and Macarthur. All drivers are inside the top 4 here at Phoenix. And again, they don't necessarily have to win the race. They just have to best the other 3 drivers that are out here battling. These guys are going for both the championship as well as the daily win here at Phoenix to cap off this season. I'm very curious to see when these guys are going to come down pit road for that stop, put on their final set of tires, fill them all the way up. As Ogle still holding about a half-second advantage over Thompson. Now Macarthur, he comes in on lap 103 for his final stop of the night. Coming in a little bit earlier than Josh Robinson. We'll have to keep an eye out when Robinson opts to come down pit road, as he was on the same strategy as Macarthur. So Macarthur trying to do something a little bit different here. Past the halfway mark to put himself back into championship contention. As now Robinson comes down pit road, Milligan will follow suit, as well as I believe Brian Lindsay in the number 24 machine. So let's keep an eye on Ogle, Thompson, and Rice to see if they stretch it out 10 laps later, coming around the lap 115 mark, or if they're going to do something a little bit different here late into the race. So now it is Ogle, Thompson, Rice, Pischke, and Watts inside the top 5. As Rice comes down pit road as well on lap 105 for his pit stop. Robinson making his way out of pit road, but where, oh where is Dwayne Macarthur? He will come back out on track in 15. Should be about 11th or 12th place as the cycles continue. Rice and Watts in pit road. Robinson comes back out on track, I believe, about 12th as this cycle continues. He will be back 2 spots from Dwayne Macarthur. And he was in his pit box over a second longer, so not sure if Robinson had problems or woes on pit road or what may have happened to the number 23 machine. As now it is Ogle and Thompson, your championship contenders, running first and second. They've got a country mile over Robert Garisco running third, about 18 seconds ahead of that number 28 machine. Now we're expecting these guys, Ogle and Thompson, to come in around lap 115 at the latest. It'll be interesting to see how the tire game really comes into play, as Macarthur and Robinson will be on slightly older tires, about 10 lap older tires once more. And we've seen that bode well for Ogle and Thompson, able to really stretch out their runs here. Thompson staying right on the back bumper of Ogle. So will it be a 2-car show with Ogle and Thompson to bring home a possible win, or will Macarthur and Robinson be able to upset the field here and do something a little bit different? Now they're going to hope and pray a caution does not come out before Ogle and Thompson take their final planned green flag stop. Well, I guess the first green flag stop of the evening. And I see Clay Walker involved in an incident. He grabs a way back to pit road. So the caution does not come out. Let's see what happened to Walker, but that really could have changed things up. I'm wondering if Walker sends it sliding around after leaving his pit stall. He does, tags the exit cone in style, grabs the toe to avoid bringing the caution out. Now, I don't think he was considered to be on the race surface at that point, so we are looking pretty good to keep it clean and green regardless. But well done to Walker for having the know-how and the forethought to grab a quick toe and not try and throw a wrench in anybody's race here. As Ogle and Thompson stretching it out, and they're going to come down pit road together. Your race leaders, Ogle and Thompson, for their final green flag stop of the night on lap 111 for these drivers. And how is this going to shake things up? Where is Macarthur? Where is Robinson going to be as this cycle continues? I believe they should be about 20 seconds ahead of your race leaders, Ogle and Thompson, once they complete their pit stop here. Both drivers coming in the stall. They'll take 4 fresh Goodyears, a full tank of gas. And who's going to win the drag race out of pit road? Macarthur moves his way up into second. He'll be about 5 seconds ahead over Ogle and friends. Almost 7 seconds as Ogle and Thompson make their way out of pit road in tandem. And now they're going to be right in the mix of it here, coming out with very fresh cars, a little bit looser than they've been used to, as now Dwayne Macarthur, your race leader, he's about 8/10 ahead of Patrick Milligan. Milligan has Josh Robinson in tow here. Macarthur came in on lap 103, Milligan and Robinson on lap 104. As now Ogle and Thompson's going to have some fast drivers to try and cut through with their 8-lap newer tires. As you're on board with Patrick Milligan and the all-black Ford Mustang. And this is what we were talking about. We've seen races won or lost, and now it could be championships won or lost on pit strategy. Macarthur, who was looking to be in trouble early on, is now up in the lead, but Ogle and Thompson running 5th and 6th with the freshest tires out on track. They're only about 5 seconds back from your race leader with a whole lot of laps left to go. 71 laps left to go for our drivers. We know they can do it on fuel, but what's the tire management game going to be as we see Macarthur clicking off a couple more laps led with Milligan and Robinson in tow. Still anybody's guess on who's going to win the race or win the championship here at the E-Metro Ford Cup Series. Right now you're watching a heated battle amongst championship contenders. Dwayne Macarthur out front. Your other championship contenders, Robinson in 3rd, Ogle 5th, Thompson in 6th. As Macarthur has Milligan between himself and the number 23 machine of Josh Robinson. A little bit of a buffer room for the number 97. As Milligan second on track, he's up 4 spots from where he started with a 3-stop strategy so far here today. Able to slice through the field. Clint Rice, our current hard charger in the 108 machine, he's up 16 spots in that 108. Having a fantastic early season coming into the series and the OBR family a little bit late. He saw us broadcast these guys and said, hey, I want to run with those guys. He met the minimum age requirement. He's a nice, clean racer that wants to surround himself with other like-minded competitors. So coming out late in the Metro Ford Cup Series, but having the ball and showing what it takes to run with the fast guys week in and week out. As now he's catching up to Robinson's number 23 machine to make it a 3 or 4 car battle for second. And just outside of frame, that was Tom Ogle, Steve Thompson running 5th and 6th. The other two championship contenders trying to get caught up to the race leader so they can battle with Macarthur in the closing laps. As Macarthur has his hands busy, now he has Milligan and Robinson right in tow. Clint Rice trying to get up there as well. Robinson sponsored by Oval Auto Sales, number 23 Toyota Camry. Running right behind the blacked out Ford Mustang of Patrick Milligan. Now Macarthur knows that he has Milligan acting as a buffer between himself and Robinson. That'll take the pressure off Macarthur ever so slightly. But any bobble and he's going to be right back there in the mix with the rest of the championship drivers. Less than 1 second separates our top 4 here late into the race in Phoenix. As Robinson trying to work the outside line against Milligan, not quite able to make it stick here. Milligan using the bus stop and inside line to his advantage to try and fend off the number 23. Now Milligan not in contention for the championship, but he wants another win here at the Ford Series to put a Ford Mustang up on top of the box. As, oh my, late in the race, these guys are battling hard. Are they going to be wearing out tires? As now Robinson looks to the inside line against Milligan. Does not take the bus stop, opts to keep it on the banking. And now here comes Ogle and Thompson as well. Ogle working his way up into third, but not quite able to make it stick against Milligan. Ogle on the inside line, Milligan running the high groove here. Steve Thompson making his way through, and now once more it's all the championship contenders running inside the top 4 together. Macarthur out front, Ogle battling with his teammate Josh Robinson to take over second place, trying to put those 8-lap pressure tires to his advantage. And now Macarthur will only be about a half second ahead of Ogle and Robinson. He's got to hope these guys battle hard behind him. Wear out those Goodyears with 61 laps left to go in this championship deciding round. All 4 contenders are up in the mix here today. We've got a long way to go, and tire management's got to be at the forethought of these drivers. If they push too hard too early, they will practically give the championship to their friends. As now Thompson, he's going to battle with Robinson to try and squeeze into third place. So we are battling for the top results for the race as well as the championship. Macarthur, Ogle, Thompson, Robinson, all in contention here. And now is a 3-car battle for the lead and the championship as you go on board with Ogle's White Claw back number 11. He is right on the rear bumper of Macarthur and the number 97 machine. But Steve Thompson, who's also on that lap 111 strategy as well, is going to stay right in tow. So it's a 3-car battle for the lead as Robinson hangs out about a car length from Thompson. Macarthur, Ogle, and Thompson separating less by 0.3 of a second. We're late in the race. We're 130 laps in, 57 laps left to go. And it is still a 4-car show to who's going to bring home the win at Phoenix as well as the championship. Thompson's going to do everything in his power to get around Ogle and maybe lend his support to his teammate Macarthur. You may see the two different teams, Last Ditch Racing running first and third, or Team Miata running second and fourth. Try and work together until we get about 5-10 laps left to go. And then it's going to be every man for himself to try and bring home the championship. Because while all these guys are on their respective teams, at the end of the day, they want to hold that #1 plate at the end of this. Now the last time by, most of the drivers clicking off mid 28-second lap times compared to the low 27s they ran during their hot laps. Ogle taking a peek to the inside of Macarthur, didn't quite have the run he was looking for. Now historically on these NASCAR tracks, you generally don't want to be the lead car in the last lap unless you've got quite a comfortable gap. The draft not quite as important as Phoenix as other plate tracks or cookie cutter mile-and-a-halfers. Very much a driver's track with the track being so differing all the way around, corner to corner. And that open dogleg kind of threw a wrench into drivers' plans here today. And now Macarthur catching up the traffic. I believe that is going to be Titanium Everhart, the number 17 machine, running 20th on track. Yes, it is, and he will have a lot of company. As your race leaders, championship contenders running nose to tail here. Ogle still taking a peek to the inside of Macarthur, but he's got to be careful. If he leaves the door open just slightly too much, Steve Thompson, the 67 machine, will try and capitalize and get around that bright pink number 11. As this is where strategy is going to really come into play in the closing 51 laps. You don't want to show your hand a little bit too early. You want to keep those tires underneath you, keep focusing and keep the momentum going, and just not allow your competitors to get too far away. As Ogle right on the back bumper of Macarthur, trying to keep that a little bit of contact. Ogle and Macarthur go around. The caution will come out. Two chase drivers involved in that one. They both keep it off the wall, but Ogle may have given a little bit too hearty of a shove to Macarthur. And now Thompson and Robinson will be out front as we go under caution. We'll have all the drivers come back down pit road. But a huge upset for our competitors. Let's take a look and see what happened. It looks like Macarthur may have just slightly bumped, or it looks like Ogle may have slightly bumped Macarthur. Both drivers get hooked, and Thompson is also going to take some damage here. As Thompson takes damage on the front left and the front right after getting into his teammate on the outside wall. Macarthur has back right damage. It looks like Robinson may be one of the few drivers that did not take anything here. Oh, this is going to be a massive upset for the championship. Things are getting heated both on track as far as temperature and driver tempers go. As you can see, a little bit of damage on that number 67 machine. Josh Robinson's machine looks clean. Dwayne Macarthur, he looks all right on the front, but the back has some damage. And then Tom Ogle, he's got a little bit of crinkling on the cans of the White Claw machine. What a terrible camera angle. So Robinson makes his way out. He'll be the race leader. Clint Rice now second. Patrick Milligan third. Dwayne Macarthur fourth. What about Tom Ogle? He's been in his pit stall for over 28 seconds. trying to get the creases out of that White Claw can number 11. He makes his way out after 33 seconds in pit road, trying to get some damage repaired for this final shootout. We've got Eric Whiting joining us here today from Spectator Lane, showing how bad these guys want to win this year. A long battle that spanned the course of 20 or 30 laps with your race leaders and championship contenders. As now it's going to be Robinson out front. You have to go back to fourth to Dwayne Macarthur to find your next contender for the chase. Tom Ogle back in ninth. Steve Thompson with a very long 53-second pit stop. He will be rejoining the circuit 10th. But now you've got a lot of buffer between Robinson and Macarthur. You've got Clint Rice and Patrick Milligan running second and third on track. Two very talented drivers that know how to run up front and keep it clean. We got word from pit road, Eric, from Whiting Thomas serving a self-imposed penalty for the contact. As Ogle takes credit for that one, he's got to feel awful. Now, while yes, these guys are battling hard for the championship, these guys are very good friends on and off the track. They take great pride in being able to battle hard with each other. So I don't think you're going to see anybody using the bumper maliciously at all in this series. So now it's Robinson and Rice on the front row, Macarthur and Milligan on your second row. You have to go back to 9th to Thompson, another contender. Ogle starting 11th for this restart after his self-imposed penalty. Let's see what the triple-digit driver Clint Rice can do on the front row. A lot of pressure here as he's running up front, the strongest he's been all season, up 18 spots. But now he's got to know there's a championship battle going out on track that he's about to be in the middle of as the green flag flies. 47 laps left to go. Robinson immediately all the way down onto the dogleg to try and get some time going. And we're going to go 3 wide with Macarthur, Rice, and Milligan is in the mix there. Macarthur moves his way up in a second, and we're going to have another caution come out. Shows Brian Lindsay involved in this one. Let's take a peek. And oh, the nerves are just going to get worse for all of our drivers. Oh, Lindsay's in the thick of it here. Let's see what happens. Number 24 machine. He goes way wide up the track. I think Hoskins may have just gave him a love tap. And look at the absolute amazing drift out the number 24 machine. I think Hoskins may have gotten disqualified there. As thankfully most of the field able to get through nice and clean. Let's take one more look at that. Poor Hoskins. He had a rough night involved in several crashes that were, from my point of view, not the fault of the number 66 machine. Although this one, the credit may be given to Hoskins. Yeah, I think so. A little bit of help from Netcode helps send Lindsay's careening around. So Lindsay will come in for tires here, but thankfully it doesn't look like too bad of damage on the number 24 machine. As here we go once more. Now it's 2 championship contenders on the front row. Josh Robinson, Dwayne Macarthur. Oh, my heart can't take it, ladies and gentlemen. Another caution, another restart, and another chance for more carnage, as that is our 4th caution of the race. Now, you may remember early in the season we ran here last. Robinson won it in a 6 caution shootout. But now things are a little bit more at stake besides an early race season win. You've got Robinson and MacArthur starting their front row. They're battling for the championship here today. They've got Thompson in 9th, Ogle in 11th, still in contention. But both the driver, the 97, the 67 and the 11 of Ogle may have a little bit of damage on those machines. Let's see, we've got the wager still going in on the YouTube. We've got 60% of our viewers are voting for MacArthur to win it, 20% Ogle, 20% Thompson. As we get them gridded up, two Titans on the front row, Robinson and MacArthur. MacArthur has the damage on that back right number 97 machine. How will affect that long run, or will we have a long run? As we are getting into sprint race conditions, drivers pushing very hard. Cautions breed cautions. Pace car comes in. It's going to be a 40-lap shootout. Can we go 40 laps? Or are we going to keep pacing as everybody's getting a little bit impatient, driving at Phoenix like it's a short track? The bumper's coming into play. And here we go for what could be the final time here at Phoenix. The championship is on the line. Robinson and MacArthur out in front. And a lot of fast drivers in tow here. Keep an eye on Ogle and Thompson are going to try and punt their way through the field. The green flag flies. Robinson in his trademark goes all the way down the inside line, builds up some momentum on the dogleg, but he will not get away from MacArthur and the number 97 machine, who stands side by side with Robinson, making their way around turn 3 out to the backstretch. And we've got carnage already. Oh no, Thompson and Ogle both involved in that one. Brian Lindsay, Bosworth, Watt, Schrader, Pischke, Ogle, Thompson, all involved for yet another caution. Oh no, look at this. Keep an eye on the inside line, the bright yellow and the bright pink of Thompson and MacArthur. Nowhere to go. The number 4 machine, Mike Schrader, goes wide. Thompson gets absolutely destroyed. Ogle gets into the back of him. And it is a parking lot. Dakota Pischke gets sandwiched here. Ogle and Thompson get back together. We're going to watch this one once more. So it looks like Watts and I believe that was Schrader get together to cause this incident. Thompson gets tagged by Schrader hard. Ogle once again into the rear end of a good friend. Kind of his trademarked move. Thompson gets shoved around once more. And then the drivers come to a stop. Looks like Steve Thompson will come take a tow back to pit road. He will retire for the evening. Just like that, this may be a 2-car rodeo. What is going on as we bring out our 5th caution? What an absolute mad race this has been. So much is on the line and some drivers just getting taken out due to circumstance. Looks like Steve Thompson will have retired for the evening. I don't know if Ogle will be in any sort of contention here or not. one of the wildest races I think we've broadcasted here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. These guys are all sorts of out of control. So much on the line for these drivers. Tempers are high, the track temp is hotter. And now it's going to be what looks to be a two-car rodeo out front, with Robinson and Macarthur battling for the lead. Ogle stays out on track in the White Claw, back number 11, but he's back in 7th. And I've got to think he's going to have a whole lot of damage on that machine. So it'll be Robinson and Macarthur on the front row. They'll have a few rows between themselves and Tom Ogle, so it's going to be these two drivers battling extremely hard in what could be the final laps. Here we go. We're not going to say it could be the final time anymore, because that's been going poorly every time I seem to say that, but it's Robinson and Macarthur on the front row. Two drivers in contention for the championship here today. Let's see what's going to happen as the green flag flies. Macarthur and Robinson side by side, both drivers taking the bus stop. Milligan opted to run the high line. Now Macarthur has the race lead, but for how long as he goes side by side with Robinson? Macarthur on the inside, Robinson on the outside. Looks like Robinson has a little bit more momentum coming out of turn 3. As you can tell, the field has rapidly shrunk with how many drivers are out on track at this point in the season finale. Now Robinson will lead him across the line. Macarthur about 3/10 off. Here comes Clint Rice in the 108 machine, looking for a season best. He's in podium contention. As we pan the camera back to Patrick Milligan, you can see Robinson, Macarthur, Rice just ahead. Rice, that 108 machine, wiggling around ever so slightly. Now all these drivers in the top 4 on that lap 138 pit cycle. As everybody diving across the track trying to find a fast way through. Macarthur staying right with Robinson here. And look at Rice to the 108. He wants to get up there and battle for the top 2, but really does not want to ruin things for either Macarthur or Robinson. He go on forward with Rice through the dogleg. You can see the back right damage on that number 97 machine, as it looks like Macarthur trying to take a peek up the inside line of Robinson. Doesn't quite get the drive out that he wanted. Robinson's last time by a 27.46, Macarthur with a 27.49. Both competitors running almost identical times and almost identical lines here. Less than 0.2 of a second separates the battle for the championship here today. This is the good, clean racing we've come to know and expect amongst our drivers. Despite the absolute crash fest we saw early on, 11 drivers still on the lead lap. Oval still running 6th out on the track. But if we keep this green, Oval's going to be in a tight spot to try and get back up there and battle for the championship. As I don't think anybody expected this to come to a final shootout to decide who's going to win the championship and the night. Now Robinson does have the most wins of this season. He's got 6 wins under his belt, number 23 machine. Macarthur and Ogle both have 5 coming into tonight. So statistically, ever so slightly, it's Robinson the odds-on favorite to win tonight and the championship, especially as it looks like almost a repeat of that early season race at Phoenix, as Macarthur starts stretching his legs a little bit more slightly, gaining about a half second over Macarthur. Now, is tire wear going to become a factor for these drivers, or are they going to be able to hold it wide all the way around? We know how good Robinson is in tire wearing. Macarthur's right there with him. But will the damage that the number 97 machine affect his longer run here today? He stays within about 3/10 seconds of Robinson coming out of turn 3. And once again, gets right back into striking distance. You've got Clint Rice for the 108. He's following in third, looking for his first ever career podium, but Milligan's going to try and take that away from the rookie driver in the triple digit. It's tough to find words when you're seeing these guys that you've come to watch get faster and faster, more consistent throughout the season, pushing so hard here today to try and lock up a championship. As Robinson still leading the field around here, Macarthur staying within striking distance, 26 laps left to go. And then we will decide a new contender. Ogle is about only 1 second back from this battle for the lead, so he's not out of it yet, especially if these leaders start using those front bumpers against each other. We saw it happen early on where we saw chase drivers get punted out of the way by accident. And now here comes Ogle to slot his way up into third, getting away around the rookie driver of Rice. Rice in the 108, gonna try and answer. Once again, getting back in front of Milligan, the 108 machine. He's up 17 spots here today. The triple-digit driver having a fantastic night. Macarthur goes way down onto the dogleg to try and set up a pass against Robinson. He's on the inside line, but Robinson's going to get about a half car length in front of Macarthur, who will have the drag race down turn 3 in the backstretch as they go side by side. Looks like Macarthur is going to have his nose over Robinson. And now with 25 laps left to go, this is the battle for the championship and the lead here in Phoenix. Meanwhile, you've also got a battle for third between Clint Rice and Patrick Milligan. Everybody pushing hard. Robinson takes over the lead once more. Macarthur back into second, but he's showing he can set that up if he needs to. Maybe in the final lap, so he will try and keep Robinson close behind. Rice has a big problem. It looks like the 108 has left the circuit, coming back out on track, and I believe 10th. After he has horrific internet problems, so Clint Rice may have disconnected here. Yes, he has left the track, gone back to the hauler, so Rice in his career best has big problems at the most inopportune time. So now it is Robinson, Macarthur, Brown, Milligan, and Ogle, your top 5. Ogle working his way back in there, still has a prayer left, but he's about 1.2 seconds behind your race leader, Josh Robinson. Macarthur staying about 3/10 off. Brown has worked his way up and put in position in the number 21 machine. He's about a half second off your race leaders. And Brown, another driver with a fair amount of damage on that number 21 machine. Macarthur, he's about let's call it a quarter second off of Robinson. With 20 laps left to go, does Macarthur have anything reserved for the number 23 machine? Or is Robinson going to be able to make it a Phoenix repeat and clasp his championship in the Metro Ford Cup Series? We've seen a lot of drivers have to go back to the haulers early on with heavy damage and too many penalty points, not able to keep track and stay out of trouble here today. So again, it's Robinson and Macarthur running first and second. They are in contention to bring home a championship. Tom Ogle in fifth, and the number 11 machine also in contention. So I think Ogle right now, 19 laps left to go, is just going to really hope that Robinson and Macarthur maybe push a little bit too hard and either really cook those tires or crash into each other. Maybe the only chance that Ogle has to bring home a championship, as he may get his wish, as I think that's Brown and Milligan going side by side. Ogle looking for a way through here, as he wants to get up there and give his support to fellow Team Miata driver Josh Robinson. Macarthur all by his lonesome with last-ditch racing, the number 97 machine, as Thompson has retired for the evening after extremely heavy damage on the front, rear, and sides of the 67. Brown knows that there's a championship battle going on, but he wants to get his first podium here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Macarthur about 4/10 off of Robinson. If he tire saving in the final laps, is that all the 97 has with the damage on it, as your race leaders have checked out. It's been a long race. Drivers have been in their seats for about an hour and 35 minutes, not counting the practice or qualifying, as the show's been going for just a little bit shy of 2 hours here tonight. So let's see who's going to make the least amount of mistakes in the closing 15 laps. Robinson still holding a 4/10 advantage over Macarthur. Rice looks like he's returning to the track, but he's going to be several laps down in that 108 machine after getting connected once more. What could have been a first podium will now be a top 20 result out of the triple-digit 108. Absolute heartbreaking to see here today, and that's what a 4/10 gap looks like between Robinson and Macarthur, as both drivers struggling with tire wear. Robinson's last time by a 28.18, Macarthur with a 28.20. Only 13 laps left to go to decide the championship here today at Phoenix. Now the field's pretty spread out here for the most part. Looks like about 18 drivers, maybe 19 drivers still on track here today, but pretty spread out, less likely to cause a caution. Now I say less likely, not impossible. As you're watching the battle for third, Joe Brown, the 21 machine, the newly appointed double-digit drivers, trying to fend off Patrick Milligan, the Wiley Venton, the number 18 machine, running the all-black paint scheme on that Ford Mustang here today. 12 laps left to go, about to be 11 as your leaders cross the line. Robinson and Macarthur still a half second away from each other, but very far ahead of Joe Brown and Patrick Milligan, about 2.5 seconds separates your race leaders for this battle for second, as now Milligan goes up the inside line. Brown looks to go for the over-under, not quite able to make it stick against the number 18, as Ogle also trying to make his way through with the number 11 machine. Back up front, Josh Robinson with about a 6/10 advantage over Macarthur. I've got to wonder, is that aero damage really playing a toll on the number 97 machine? He had the short run speed, but maybe driving a little bit tighter with that aero damage. Macarthur doing everything he can to stay with Robinson. 9 laps left to go. But if we're going to see a final push out of Macarthur, it's got to be now. It looks like Robinson's gonna keep that hammer going as he's gaining a little bit more time over Macarthur. Now 7/10 of a second. That last time by, Robinson with a 28.29, Macarthur with a 28.48. Macarthur in big trouble here with 8 laps left to go to try and find some time to catch up to Robinson. He's got nothing left in the back pocket. There's no more lap traffic, no more planned stops. It is just all about holding the throttle down and using up whatever tires you have left in the closing laps. Now Robinson may have a little bit of traffic to contend with, but not much, as I have a feeling traffic will quickly be hopping out of the way of the race leaders, not wanting to ruin their championship run. Macarthur getting back within 0.6 of a second here. He knows now is his time to shine. Macarthur getting back to within about a half second with 6 laps left to go. Can the fast Canadian make something happen here? There is no more time left for mistakes. Macarthur has got to push. Robinson is seeing the rear view mirror and watching the number 97 machine gain some strides here. That last time by, Macarthur was about 0.15 faster than Robinson. Let's see what it updates this time by. Is now still a half-second gap between the two drivers. Robinson clicks off a 28.43, Macarthur with a 28.36. But it looks like Robinson has something left in the tank, extending that lead once more to about 0.6. But now he will have to contend with traffic. Able to quickly get around, as I believe that may be Bosworth missing the front end of his Ford Mustang. Holds the high line, not wanting to interject himself in this championship battle. So as you see, it's Robinson, Macarthur, Milligan, Ogle, Brown, our top 5. Ogle has been able to move his way back into 4th after a lot of tough breaks here for that number 11 White Claw machine, but I think he's going to run out of laps to try and battle for the championship. All eyes are on Robinson and Macarthur, still 0.6 apart with 3 laps left to go. Macarthur needs a Hail Mary here to try and catch up to the number 23 machine, as Robinson has been so fast, so consistent, and he was about 0.04 of a second faster than Macarthur that last time by. As we are about to appoint a championship winner here at Phoenix. And it looks like Macarthur may have dropped off the pace, and now he's about 0.7 back, as Josh Robinson is looking mighty good to bring home a championship win here in the Metro Ford Cup Series. And the white flag will fly this time by. The writing may be on the wall. Robinson looking good to bring up a championship run here, as now Macarthur is 1 second off the pace. And the white flag will fly. Josh Robinson's going to bring it by for the final time to pick up the win here at the season finale at Phoenix, as well as the championship. Josh Robinson will win the E-Metro Ford Cup Series in the number 23 machine and bring home a championship for Team Miata. A great run. Macarthur finishes 2nd, Milligan 3rd, Ogle 4th, and Brown will round out our top 5 here today. And an absolute wild race from start to finish. Robinson keeping it the cleanest, not having any problems, and picking up a well-deserved win as Macarthur accidentally bumps the number 23 a little bit too hard. Trying to pay homage to his buddy and may have accidentally dumped him on the cooldown lap. So we'll get our drivers gridded up for pictures and post-race burnouts and shenanigans. A great race from all of our drivers. And Josh Robinson will bring home the win here today. And Robinson going to celebrate in style, winning a championship as well as the race. Kept a clean car until the very end and was one of the dominant drivers out on track here today. So Josh Robinson will be your champion. As we get our drivers up into the waiting room. Now, normally I would pan to the third place driver and start the interviews, but we're going to watch Josh Robinson try and Austin Powers his way into victory lane on the new and improved infield here at Phoenix. Where's he going? Josh Robinson may be having a stroke out on course. As we're going to start getting our drivers up here into victory lane for their interview. Oh, he's going all the way to victory lane. Up first, we've got Patrick Milligan, the man behind the scenes, making this whole series happen, finishing a third. Patrick, a great run, a great season. What does this tonight's finish mean to you? Patrick, you got your ears on?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Just here so you don't get fined. Milligan run the new paint scheme. The series sponsor, you made kind of this whole thing happen. Now, I know the season was kind of a lot of ups and downs for everybody, Patrick, but what makes this place so fun and so unique to get 30, 40 drivers over the age of 35 together several times throughout the week?
That was a long question. I couldn't pay attention that long.
Milligan, what makes OBRL so damn fun for everyone?
You know, it's just a great group of guys. Very, very competitive. A lot of these drivers got so much better just over the years. Everybody is, everybody's just super competitive. Makes it a lot of fun.
Well, Milligan, great job. I know you're a man of many words. It's great to have you up here in victory lane. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go and celebrate?
Yeah, shout out to Josh. He had a great season, lots of wins, and he did a great job.
Well, awesome. Patrick, thank you again for joining us here tonight. Thank you for everything you do for the series, and always a great time talking to you, my friend.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you.
And up next, our favorite fast Canadian, Dwayne Macarthur, did everything he could, but it looked like that damage may have played a role in number 97 machine. Do you think that caused the car to tighten up in that final run, or what happened that allowed Robinson to get that little bit of a gap?
Yeah, well, I mean, outside the fact that Robinson's a hell of a race car driver, it definitely wasn't the car I had prior. Thought I almost had him, and I probably could have run him up a little bit, but it's not the way I race, and proved to not be able to get by him. And once I didn't get by him, it was all over. Like you said, the car didn't have the same grip in the rear, so couldn't really get back to the throttle.
Now, I know you're going to be a little bit bummed to talking to me now from a second place tonight, a second place in the overall season. I know you're looking hard for that win, but on all, we got to reflect overall an amazing race, amazing season. I believe you had 4 or 5 wins in that RAG Customs 97 machine. Great racing. It was very rare we saw a DNF out of you all season. What do you think is the trick to the continued success you've had throughout the year?
Yeah, well, you're right. The disappointment will wear a little bit, and when I reflect, I'll probably be pretty happy. I mean, last season I was 27th in points and had just a few races, so exceeded my expectations. It was nice to make the Final Four with these guys. They're, in a different weight class when it comes to driving than I am, so pretty excited to get second place. Really disappointed. I think just the laps, the amount of laps, the practice, and everybody in this league pushing each other has just pushed us to get better and faster and cleaner. And I think that's how the season played out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dwayne, but I mean that's kind of the thing going on here at OBRL is a bunch of middle-aged guys getting together throughout the week and just wanting good, clean racing. I mean, could you ask for a better league to race in 4 or 5 times a week?
Nah. Age is even irrelevant. This field is a field of very, very fast drivers, top to bottom, and even throughout the season, it's just gotten faster and faster. I put the boys in this league against the boys anywhere in any official series or any other leagues. This is a hella fast league, real good racers, and it makes everybody else better.
Well, Dwayne, it's been a lot of fun watching all the action, watching a bunch of different drivers grow throughout this season. Before we let you sign off and celebrate once you get over the second place upsetment, who would you like to give a shout out to that's been cheering you on, supporting you all season long?
Yeah, just first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to mom and dad who are probably watching because they always do. Shout out to my teammates on Last Ditch Racing here. They really help. They're a great group of guys to race with. And to Patrick, our sponsor. This league doesn't exist without Patrick. So emetroford.com, Metro Ford Chicago, Patrick Milligan. I mean, he is the lifeblood of this league. He keeps us going. So with his generosity, I'd like to say thanks. I'd like to say thanks to you for all the broadcasts this season. It was great. It was a nice added something addition to this league. It was really, really nice. And then of course to my family here that puts up with me racing all the time and they make the world go by while I'm sitting here in my virtual reality. So thanks to everybody. And shout out to wife and kids too. So,
and Dwayne, what about any on-car sponsors that you may want to hit real quick?
Yeah, really thankful for the season with REG Customs. They came on board for the season, and it was really great. A really great sponsor. Really enjoyed running their colors all year long. Actually ran them in all the series. So shout out to him, and thanks for his support throughout the year.
Well, awesome, Dwayne. A pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on an overall fantastic season, and it's been a lot of fun watching you guys get faster and faster, cleaner and cleaner.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir. And up next, the man of the hour, Josh Robinson, winning tonight here at Phoenix, as well as locking up a championship. Josh, you've got to be absolutely ecstatic right now in that Team Miata number 23.
I'm happy, but quite exhausted.
Yeah, long race. I think we're on track for not quite 2 hours, but not a lot of time to take breaks. A fair amount of cautions, not as bad as early on in the season, but almost looked like a repeat of the race you had in Phoenix earlier this year.
Yeah, things definitely went well for me there the last time, and then this time as well. I think Dwayne and I had a drag race when we had one of those cautions, and I think I just got a little luckier on that.
Now, we know you had long run speed throughout the night. Were you worried when we started seeing a couple cautions spring up here and there and worried it was going to be a short run race, or what was your thought process when we saw that caution come out?
Absolutely. I prefer running long runs, getting the tires set in and just doing it that way. These short runs, short cautions, and whether or not you get caught out accidentally not pitting too.
Well, Josh, you picked up the most amount of wins throughout the season, 7 wins. That's 2 more than any other driver in the field, winning over 15% of every race you entered while also keeping less than a .01 incident per lap. So way, way under the maximum IPL. What was the trick to running clean, fast, and hard throughout the season?
It's just a good group of guys here. Good hard racing, room given when needed, and it's no trick that I did, just running clean and enjoying time running with everyone.
Well, Josh, it's been a great season. You've been a lot of fun to watch, to drive the wheels off that number 23 machine. Before we let you sign off and celebrate, who would I like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors that's been cheering you on and supporting you throughout the duration of this Metro Ford Cup Series.
Yep, my team, Tom, Andrew, and Joe. Andrew wasn't able to make the race today. And then the OBRL for putting this the whole season on, and every season. It's just a lot of fun. And then you for doing the broadcast, and can't leave out Patrick. Patrick he gets us a lot of money, gets the broadcast, gets all the sponsorships, so huge help from him.
Well, awesome, Josh. Thank you as always for your time, man. Let you go celebrate with the rest of the hooligans at Team Miata, and hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend celebrating the championship in style.
Appreciate it, James. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. And that is going to do it, my friends, for the season finale of the Metro Ford Cup Series, where Josh Robinson puts it on the top spot in the number 23 machine, edging out the fast Canadian Dwayne Macarthur in this championship round. Looking forward to seeing what the future brings for all these drivers, and hopefully we can come back in some capacity to cover the action of any of the Old Bastards Racing Leagues. As always, for the final time this season, thank you on behalf of emetroford.com, oldbastardsracing.com, as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much to our viewers from across the world for a fantastic season. We couldn't have done it without you, and we wish you the best of luck and success to all of our drivers. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much.